Hey guys, what's good? What's good? How are you? Welcome to What You Say Poet. We got a special edition today. It's Sunday. We usually do this Thursday nights, but your girl wasn't feeling good on Thursday, and I did not want to push this interview too far back, so we rescheduled for Sunday. So thank you for you guys that waited so patiently for us to do this. I'm really excited about today's episode because not only is this like a creative friend of mine that I've known for a couple years now, but this is a special guest we have tonight. Usually we have poets, and today we have somebody who is more of a visual artist, but I think that all forms of creativity are some form of poetry in itself. So he is a poet with the paintbrush, okay? And you know, the first time I saw his artwork, I was super impressed, and I immediately reached out, did some events. He came through, and we are still friends. And I'm really excited because he's doing a lot with his artwork, and you guys need to meet him. So please welcome my good friend, Broken Saint. Give it up. Hey!
Hi.
What's up, friend?
What's going
How
on?
you doing? Well, I gave them a brief little intro, but please tell the audience a little bit more about you, what you got going on, your art, all that good stuff.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? You know, my name is Broken Saint, 1978. You know, I've been born in the Bronx, live in Queens now. BX all day. You know, been military, retired, did about 15. Got 3 daughters, single dad. You know, 3 beautiful daughters. Right now, you know, just like she said, I'm like more of like a poet through my paintbrush. You know, every time I draw, you know, it says one thing, but it means so much more. You know, a lot of these things is just ways of expressing what's in my head, to, you know, to give to everyone, you know.
Yes. Now, you have so many layers to you as a creative person, because it goes beyond, you know, your experience as a painter, which we're going to talk about that a little bit more down the line. I want to talk about you and before being an artist, because a lot of times we meet artists that have been painting since like childhood, but you started painting in your adult life, and it was after you left the military, right? You were in the Army?
Yes.
Well, so what was that like? First of all, like, what made you enroll into the Army, and like, what was kind of like that experience in there?
Well, funny thing was, I went to high school you know, I was in Bayside in Queens, you know, again, but I traveled to Ghana, West Africa.
Oh, wow.
I spent there 3 years to do high school. So when I came back, you know, my older brother joined the Army. So when he joined, I was kind of like, you know, I always looked up to him. So I was just like, you know, competition. It was always competition. Competitive. So I was like, oh, you did, so I can do it. So I joined right before 9/11.
Oh my gosh.
Literally, like, I just got out of basic training and I'm watching it on the news. Like, what movie is this? Like, and they're like, it's no movie.
Oh my gosh.
Iraq, like, I was the first wave that went to Iraq, and then, like, you know, all these type of things. And basically, I stayed in for a while. You know, I had my first daughter already. Then I had my second, and I think I was going to Afghanistan at my third. So it was like, you know, it was a long journey. Honestly, like, I didn't paint, but drawing, every time I went to the desert, basically drawing was like.
So you've always drawn, but you didn't get into painting until after you left the military.
No, it was more like my grandmother always wanted me paint, but like I was painting. You know, I'm old, so it was like painting. Who does that? You know, I was more like I was more in the sense of like drawing because I had like, well, from what I discovered, they now call it ADD, but mom, make mother, it was like I daydreamed and my mind wandered. So I used my art focus.
So the art was your way to kind of actually focus on something for more than like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I didn't even know it until I got out that I even had it.
So what made you want to paint after? Was it like dealing with the military and being in the military that kind of put you in a space? Like, did you deal with like that post-traumatic stress? Because you say you were the first wave of, right after 9/11 that went overseas to the Middle East. So could only imagine how crazy that experience must have been. So did you go through like this post-traumatic stress that they talk about often with people that leave the military?
Yes. Basically after my trip to Afghanistan, kind of went to Texas, and in Texas they kind of told me, that's when I found out even had, because I was with the infantry, and they don't, infantry, we don't normally talk about mental health.
Yeah.
It wasn't until later I went to another type of chemical unit, and that's found out. I kind of didn't really know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
So when I retired, basically when my grandmother passed, basically she always told me to paint. Always told me to paint. Basically when I got out, never let me funeral, stuff like that. So I was really in a bad spot. So a friend of my younger brother basically was like, had a whole bunch of canvas in front of him. He was like, why don't you just, let it all out on this?
Yeah.
And one day I just grabbed it and I thought of what was the first thing I can paint that I liked. And I think I was listening to Biggie. And I literally just tried painting him. And that was like the very first painting I even still have. That.
Oh, I would love to see that. If you ever get a chance to show me, I would love to see your first painting. Yeah. Because, like I said, it's so, you don't always see someone in their adult life get into some type of art form and be so amazing at it. Like, you are phenomenal. And I hope that we can see more of your art as we go along. Your mic is cutting in and out a little bit. So I want to take a quick commercial break. It's for quick 30 seconds. And while we do that, if you can come out of the studio and come back in, so maybe that'll fix the audio thing. So we'll be right back. We're going to do a quick commercial from some of our friends over our buddy Jay Bada, who recently dropped an album. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with Broken Saint 1978.
B-A-D-A, I rap every day, make it look so easy.
From the artist that brought you the debut solo album, Gemini, comes a new EP. Jay Bada presents his sophomore solo project titled Indian Summer, The Prologue. Written and produced during one of the most unique and impactful years of our existence, 2020. Check out this EP full of good intentions, positive lyrics, and a unique flow. Listen from your favorite streaming platform today. For more music from Jay Bada, follow him on IG at JBadaMusic. Whether it's tax season, the holidays, or whatever falls in between, you want to make sure that you're being smart with your money. So go visit my girl, Queen Candace, at the Queen Blueprint to learn how to gain your financial freedom. You could get a personalized debt payoff plan, a full financial overview, and learn to repair your relationship with money. Smarter money moves are waiting for you at www.thequeenblueprint.com or call 877-387-BLUE. Use code JRose20 for 20% off of all our financial services. All right. Shout out to our sponsors. They are amazing. They're the ones that make this stuff happen. And Broken Saint is back. I see you, my guy. What's up? Welcome back. Welcome back.
What's up? Is my mic better now?
Yes, much better. Okay.
Had to get old school.
Yeah, nah, it's cool. And you have a lot of amazing gems and a lot of your life experiences alone. I want people to hear this, and I want them to be able to hear it clearly instead of you chopping up a little bit. So you sound way better. You mentioned that you are a single dad of 3 daughters.
Yes.
How is that? Because I have a daughter and I have a son, so I have a little bit of both, you know. But
Yeah.
I'm a woman, and it's a little different for, you know, my experience with a daughter and a son. So what's it like to be a single dad of 3 daughters? And how old are they? Like, they all range in ages. They're not that close, right?
I know. No, they're not. It's funny. First thing I'll say is I give the utmost respect to women, single parents and moms and out there, because I think I had to experience it. And I guess the timing was even more crazy being with this whole thing going on. So it's like
Mhm.
24/7 children, like, wake up. And
I know.
when it
Teachers, come get your
started,
kids.
when it started, I had a 18, she was 18,
Oh my
13,
gosh.
and 10. So it was
Oh
like,
my
yeah,
God.
it was like
Teenagers.
all the ranges.
Ah.
Yes, elementary, junior high school, and high school. So it was not. It was. I always consider anything like. I respect my mom more. I had to even call her and apologize. Like, oh my
Oh,
goodness, and
oh
you had to
my
deal. I was like, you dealt with me and with dad, and I can only imagine what I would have been like by myself. Like,
God. And you had ADD and all that stuff, and
yes,
you have siblings too. You said you had an
yes,
older brother.
yes, older
Do you have
brother and
younger
a
siblings?
younger. I
Oh
had him.
my
I was a
gosh.
middle kid, so
Of course.
I got most of the beatings. Let's just
It
say.
all makes sense.
But my mom was well seasoned by the time I was around, so and she got tired by the time the younger one came. So
That's
yeah, I got
usually
all the
how it
energy.
works.
It was honestly, even until now, it's a growing experience. Like even now, as I am talking, it's like you kind of, I'm giving my like dad vibes on the side eye, like when they're popping in, like
So,
what's going on.
what are
I'm
you
like,
doing?
go back, like whatever you're thinking, don't, So
Yeah.
it's like honestly at this point, like someone asked me before what it's like, just parenting period, and I always looked at it as, I never thought of it as like kind of like a chore, or like there's a word to
Like a
even give it.
job.
Then yeah, it's like it's not even a word to say, oh, it's tiresome, or I just always say it's challenging. That's one thing.
Yeah.
It's always challenging. Like tomorrow's never going to be the same, even though there are things they constantly do the same, but it's always in a different way because it's like 3 different, completely
Yeah,
different
I was gonna ask,
personalities.
are they all very different in their own
All art.
ways?
Only thing they all have in common, all artists.
Oh,
So
really?
yes, but it's like one's more into the Japanimation. The other one, the youngest, draws just like kind of like I do, and the youngest is like more into like realism, like details, and
Ooh.
yeah, it's that too in itself
Do you
is like,
ever do like daddy daughter like painting sessions together?
yeah, I
Oh
have.
my gosh, that's so
Yeah,
nice.
like collab, like sometimes they'll draw it and be like, Dad, can you ink this or can you color it in? And yeah,
Oh
just
my
to
gosh.
hype it more for them and everything. So yeah, I'll say it's
That
like it's always been fun. It's never been something in which I'll be like, my goodness, I need me time. Even though there
yeah.
are, I think it's usually around like 9 o'clock. It's like, okay, time to clock in.
It's
Like,
almost me time.
yeah, it's like time to clock in.
Yeah.
Wait for it.
Scratch the 9 off and write me on it.
Mhm. It's like, Dad, it's only 7, is it? Like,
Oh, oh, I'm tired. Ooh, oh, oh.
oh man, like
That's
man,
me.
ooh,
I know I
yeah.
had to give my son the pep talk before I sat down today. I was just like, sit right here. Don't get up. Don't throw anything. Stay away from the television. Like, don't
And it's
play with
like,
any sticks.
and at that moment, you're like a Charlie Brown cartoon, just wah
Yeah,
wah 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 wah. Got it, got
that's,
it.
I swear, I'm convinced that they either have like children have like some type of hearing disability or like a selective hearing thing because
Yeah,
they like I don't
it's
understand.
a. I think for us, for our generation, it's different because the gap is close.
Yeah.
When you look back to like our family and our parents, they're doing like jazz and gospel and doo-wopping, and so the music even gap was so different. So you just like everything they talk about, you're like, man, You talking about no cable? Like, it's like it's so crazy, like everything they're saying. Like it's a large gap. But ours is like, my kids can be TikToking and I'm like, hey, turn that. Yeah, it's not bad. Hey, what song is that? Like, it's like it's not that far. We
Yes.
all listen to the same everything. So I think for us, because our gaps are so short, every time they're doing something, you're like I did that when I was your age. Like it's not like how my parents did it because they didn't do
Yeah.
it like me, but
Our
I
parents
literally did it like like how
our
you're doing.
parents were like working at like
Yeah, like 10.
12, like
I
you
came
know,
out with the what's called with the pitchfork, and I was ready for work. Like,
yes.
dang,
I had to
like,
walk 7 miles to school with no
yeah,
shoes,
with no
you
shoes
know,
and just
in the
with
3 feet of
grass
snow.
shoes and scorpions and broken bottles. Like, sheesh, like man, how'd you get to school?
I
Like,
remember my dad one time told me he had to walk in 3 feet of snow, and I was like, when did it snow in Puerto Rico? Because
I,
I never heard of
mm-hmm.
that.
And my mother's from Jamaica, my father's from Ghana. So anytime like it was freezing cold, I was like, man, that must have been terrible. Like, what was it Armageddon? Like, did the
Like,
Armageddon pass already? Because it doesn't get cold. I've been to where you've been at. It never gets cold there.
lies, lies,
It's
lies.
like, but now I
So
guess I get it. It's all growing. It's all to grow and make you stronger.
yeah. Yeah, well, I definitely want to dig into your artwork because I mean, your style is so like dope.
Yeah.
I remember when I first started seeing a lot of your artwork, you were doing a lot of like you really brought me back to my childhood, because you paint these characters that I grew up watching
Yeah.
as a kid, and I was just like, wow, like this is so cool, and I'm immediately drawn by like 80s and 90s, pop
Mm-hmm.
culture, so what made you choose those that genre or that time period
Okay.
and like go with like the cartoons and be so like nostalgic? What brought you there?
I would say one, of course, I grew up. As crazy as it may sound, I'm a 70s baby, but I grew up through the 80s,
Yes.
and it was like a lot of that is what actually helped me. Like, like you would imagine now how all these kids have like unlimited access to cartoons where we had to like 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm sitting down preparing tea and everything for my Saturday morning.
Oh
That's the
my
only time I
god.
ever wake up early. Like I'm preparing my breakfast, have everything
Yes.
laid out. Like, ooh,
It was
I'm up
like a
early too.
ritual. It's a
Yeah,
ritual.
because the cartoons start at 7, but when you wake up early, you're like, oh man, I'm about to catch the good ones today. Like,
Yeah.
so it's like I got stuck onto like all those like positiveness of like just what we as kids used to run for to make us just smile for a day out of a whole
Yes.
week. So as I got older, I think like they just stuck to me. Like they always stuck. And as like when I got out, I was looking at how people used to do it. Like,
Mhm.
a lot of times people will go for like I'm not gonna try and name drop too many, but the Monopoly guy,
Yeah.
Bart is always a big one,
Oh
Mickey
yeah,
Mouse,
you see a lot of
Donald
Simpsons.
Duck, yeah,
Mhm.
Donald Duck. Like, just like certain characters that I always felt were like everyone constantly sees them
Yeah,
all.
iconic.
So I was always like, why don't we go for the ones that people don't pay attention to, but if you see it, it will like snap into your head.
Yes.
Like gummy bears from Disney, gargoyles,
Yes.
Top Cat,
Oh
like,
my gosh.
all these like, and not like the main character. I used to always try to go with like someone based on what I'm thinking.
Like a
So
supporting character.
yeah. So it's like one like the I know one you probably remember is the one I did of it was like Jules Santana. I was trying to draw like a whole Dipset kind of theme piece. And I basically drew Jules Santana as Choo Choo from Top Cat because I
Yes.
was like, he's like this. He's not really the pure second in command, but he's like right always there next to him. And it came out to be a great piece because like I like to kind of like put these characters as if the artist who created them drew it today instead of
Yes.
like try to completely change it.
Yeah.
And that's how I always like to.
You add this like, and you mentioned it just now when you said like this whole Dipset uh pieces that you did, you add like this hip hop flavor to it too.
Mm-hmm.
And like it has like this graffiti, like street art vibe to it. So, you know, I love the combination of like this nostalgic cartoon blended with like this nostalgic style of music for us, you know, because I mean, I'm not that much younger than you. I
I
grew up in
know.
the 80s.
And when we spoke, I was like, man, you know a lot about stuff I know. Like,
I'm
what?
like, yeah, I was 82. I'm only like
Yeah,
4
I'm like, I
years.
got you by like 2. I got you, 4 years. I'm like, man.
That's nothing.
Yeah.
So like this mixture of this, like, and I'm a big hip hop head, and I draw graffiti. I'm not as nice as you, but you know, I
Never say
dabbled in
that.
the graffiti, you know. So that's what immediately drew me to your art. Does that style and vision kind of seep into the way your children do their art? Even though
Well,
they have different styles, do they do like the cartoons, or they bring like their new music?
yeah. But the funny thing is with them, because I also like, if anyone knows me in like the art circle, I always encourage people to like kind of go for what they do and like what they know how to do. And like, I like to boost it for them because, you know, a lot of times us as artists, sometimes like when we start to make it, um, it's like, it's almost like whoever's not following you is like they start going down and down and
Yeah,
further.
they start
But
scrolling.
for me, I start being more on a sense of, even if I'm at the top, if I knew you then, I still know you today. It's not going to change. Like, you know, I guess because everything I've always done, I always went from the bottom up. You know, I joined the army. I came from the bottom up. When I went to Ghana, I went in like year 1 and I didn't know anything. I don't even know the language. And I'm there for 3 years. So it's like, I always like that build up and I always like to bring people with me.
Mm,
So when my kids, their personalities are all different. Like the youngest is into unicorns and princesses, and you know the middle one is like she likes kind of like TikToking, so she's more towards music and like the influencers, and the youngest is into Japanimation. So it's like, but the youngest has my stubbornness. So it's like, when I was younger, I was that can't tell me nothing when it came to
yeah,
art. Like,
I know this.
even
I know
if
this.
the
I know this.
greatest artist came to me and said, you should try this, I'd be like, oh, okay, I got it. I ain't doing that. And like, I think that's what makes her the hardest for me because
Mm,
I see in her, she has the most biggest drive towards it. Like she's
yeah.
always doing it, always doing it. And I'm like, if I can just, then I was like, there's so many grown adults that I've helped mold, but I can't mold this one
She's gotta find
hard-headed, you
she's
know.
gotta find her footing,
Yeah,
especially when
because
they're
that's what
so
happened to me.
young.
That's
Yeah.
what happened to me. Basically, what happened was like I was doing my painting thing, and I guess because I came into it so, I guess, virgin-like, I basically went to my first art show through Fantasy in Color, and when I went there, I'm looking at like like everyone else has been painting for like all their lives, and I'm like, wow, like I'm like,
You're like, I
wow,
started last week.
yeah. I tried to keep that always
You're
quiet
like,
when I was like first started. They'd be like, man, your work is great. How long you been doing it? What's today? And they'd be like, what? So when I
I
started
was
to hear
shocked.
that,
I was
yeah, when
shocked.
I
They're like,
heard,
oh, I just started like a year or two ago.
yeah,
I was like,
when
what?
I heard that, I kind of started to be like, yeah, maybe I can. I was like, maybe I should, like make this something because I always looked at my art as my grandmother and mother used to always tell me like, yo, you should use this, and I was like, yeah, but I had an African father, so it's like, yeah, you're right, and he's like, that ain't gonna get you no money, and nah, it's not a job, and and it's
How was
crazy.
that? Like,
It's crazy because I got
when
it from him. This
mm,
side of the family. My uncle's a wood carver. My grandfather is a poet. He was a
oh,
poet. He even what's called? He's worked with Langston Hughes before.
oh my
Like
gosh, that's
yeah,
such an
all of them. And these
honor.
are things I've heard like later when I'm going through, the closets and stuff of the
Yes.
house, and I'm like, hey, who drew this? My father's like, I don't know. I'm like, man, this guy is committing forgery because he put your name on it for some strange reason. And he's like, yeah, and it's like, and I realized, yes, like my father's side of the family is all artists. So,
So cool.
yeah. So like a lot of times when it came to my artwork, and my kids started to copy me, I was telling them that, no, like, do yours, like, make your art who you are, because you
Mm.
don't want it to be where you get older and people refer you in my direction. Like,
Yes,
you
like,
draw
oh,
like your dad, or,
yes,
your art
yes,
is like your father's. I'm like, no,
yeah,
let it be a surprise for them to find out who, your parents are, who you
yes,
related or connected to, if you
yes.
want to show your faces, because
You,
nowadays artists is just like
I
all the
know.
time, and I thought about that even too, but I was like, yeah. uh,
Nah.
I was like, my theory all the time is like, I've lived on life too long and people saw my face too much. I've been around too much for people to be like, why are you covering yourself, like,
Yeah.
and they start saying my government, like,
Like,
man, that's, yeah,
yeah.
like, take that stupid thing off from
I
my
know.
eyes.
I know that
Sorry.
Jamaican Ghanaian guy.
Yeah, it's like, I know him. I'll take you to his house. Come, let's go.
Take that
Like,
mask off.
let's knock on his door. Like, so I'm
I remember
like,
when I ran into you at the school. It was so
yeah,
funny. Like our kids were, our kids ended up in similar.
yeah.
Well, your kids weren't going there anymore, but you
Yeah,
stopped
yeah,
by,
yeah, yeah.
and I ran into
Because
you, and
I
I was like,
know the
"Oh
owner.
shit!" Yes,
Yeah,
yes. And it
yeah.
was like, there you are in your normal life. And then, it's so funny because I'm surrounded by creative people like you all the
Mm-hmm.
time. But I know you guys as people too, like
Mm-hmm.
you're you kids go to school,
Yep.
parenting, all that stuff. And, you know, like for me, like you walking out of there and like other people being like, oh, she knows him, they're friends. And I'm like, you have no idea how amazing this guy is. He's
Uh,
like an amazing painter. Like you guys don't even know. You guys
yeah,
like a
and it's
masterpiece
funny.
to walk
I
past.
love that. I actually love that. I think that's one thing. If I were to say, if ever again, when people be like, "Oh, I remember hearing him on this pot," I'm like, it'll be crazy when they see me, even in the future. When like, cause I say I have no roof. I always say that. Like, there's no end. Because people are like, I just want. No, I don't just want. Haven't
No.
seen it yet. When I see it is when I'm like gone, and then I'm like, oh, this is the end, I guess. That's how I see it,
Do you
because
plan on doing anything more with your art, as in like because people are painting on like clothing, like this whole sneaker painting is like
yeah,
huge right
it's
now,
funny. I
customizing.
just did one. I
You did.
just like my daughter basically had a birthday, and she was like, "Dad, you promised to draw on my shoes." And on her birthday, I was like in the lab, sweating, had like a dab in
Looking
myself,
at the
trying to
clock
finish
like,
these shoes. Yes, like the party's about to start. I'm like, oh man, I didn't
and you're
even coat them yet. Yes, I'm literally like with a heat gun, like, come on, come on. So, and it's like the funny thing about what you said is that is like when I said there's no roof, that's one of the things like I kind of look at. I try not to be cliche-ish in the sense of doing what everyone's doing. So I kind of like decided that as I was going, I wanted to always learn everything, like all of them. Like, I've done painting that, like, for the future, people will see that will have like molding on it, like, clay
oh
and modeling clay. And
yeah.
I've worked on,
What's that, like multimedia they call it?
yeah, like, yeah, mixed
Mixed
media
media,
painting.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And the funny thing is, like, I started that way because when I went to a school, I saw a collage, and I was like, I liked the messiness, but the neatness of it at the same time.
Yes, yes,
And I always looked at, if you look, like when you met me, I think the first thing, one of the things we spoke about was the background, how I always have lines in the background. And I was like, that's how, like, I always look at how life is. Like, life goes in so many different directions, but it's
yes,
like, it's usually always like straight past, like you're thinking to do something, but something can always turn it some way. So
yes.
it's like like, it's like chaotic, and it looks like it's in order at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Like
kind of
organized chaos or
organized chaos. Yes, that's what it is. So that's basically how I liked, not only for like a lot of my backgrounds to look, but also my art. So like that's
yes.
why I used to always call my artwork like pleasant tragedies. Like, so
Mm.
you're looking at something, you're like, wow, it's so nice, not knowing deeper what it's actually saying or where it comes from. Even like the painting behind me,
Yes, I
which
was gonna say,
is,
can you show us some of your
yes,
art? Like, I know you
like,
got some paintings down there.
like this one is basically, like I said, with the cliche of Mickey Mouse and
Bugs
Bugs
Bunny.
Bunny. I kind of like did them, but I did them in a way in which it's like they're hanging.
There,
Cause
yes,
yes, but like, cause I got it from the song "Strange Fruit," which
yes,
is basically
Nina Simone.
stating stating kind of
It's about
like
lynching.
how these industries, like these, both of these, they seem like great shows that we have watched as kids and laughed and joked, and they've done blackface. you
Yes.
know Funny story is that I literally painted these before the Prada situation with the
Oh
mask.
wow. Did
Yeah, so yeah, I did these, but I didn't want to draw the faces black, and I did the rainbows on both of them. Like it has like that
mm-hmm.
fluorescent coloring on both of them,
Yes.
and I always wanted to keep it where a person would be first drawn to it instead of like, like, oh my goodness. Because if I just drew them as blackface, we would have been like, oof, don't want to
Yeah,
look at that.
but the message, you're still showing
Yes.
the message. Even like you have Bugs Bunny holding the watermelon, which is like the most
Yes.
stereotype shit that
Mm-hmm.
people say about black people.
Yes, and how he has the apple, as Mickey Mouse has like the apple, because it's kind of like trying to say like, Disney is always like so American and pure American, but I'm like, Mickey Mouse was almost as bad. That was like one of the first. It was in the black and white cartoon for Mickey Mouse. So this is like way in the beginning. And he had the nappy, curly hair. And as kids, even us today, we've watched it and we loved all of them. Tom and Jerry has done it.
I
Uh,
know, I
there's
know.
so many cartoons. And
We
we laughing and high fiving each other, saying how great it looked. And that's why I was like, the craziest thing is that it's like we're earlier being conditioned as children to
yeah,
accept what we shouldn't accept. So I
yes.
kind of did that one as a way of like I heard the song because my father was a huge Nina Simone
I
like
love Nina
huge fan.
Simone. That's
So
such
he was
a powerful
playing it,
song too.
yes, and he was playing it, and I was just thinking about like like where it means and the deep meaning behind it. And then I was just thinking about that, like I'm while I'm hearing the song, I'm watching like Bugs Bunny doing the whole master thing and all this memes, but I'm like, oh, this is so fun. Wait a minute. And then I was like, this is so fun. Wait, should I
I
be laughing at
know.
this? And then I decided to like paint it. So even when I painted that for Black History Month. So I'm showing it
Wow.
everyone. I've taken it to a couple of shows. Everyone's been like, "Oh wow, it's so great," and no one's looking deeper into it. That's why,
Yeah.
which is funny. I used to write poetry when I was in the army, and I just stopped because I was like, I think most of my poetry came from trying to hook up with some lady. So I'm like, yeah, now that I'm single, I don't really got no one to write to, so
You're like,
I
let me
might
just
as well write the other way. Yep.
I'm just paint.
Yeah. So basically, all of what I want to say, I kind of put it all into like one, like, drawing. I try to stay neutral in my sense of I don't want you to automatically see it as like a political message
Yeah.
or, because I've done things where the movie Zootopia came out,
Yes.
and I drew a painting when the fox at the end became a cop, but he
Mm,
shot his partner, his crime partner, just for painting on a wall. But everyone looked at it as, oh, it's so colorful, it's so nice. But I'm
yeah.
like, yeah. And this was like before this whole, and that was like I'll say that was like my fifth painting I ever did. You
What?
know, yeah.
So
Actually, I
you've
even
been
found my
ahead of the
first.
game. You've been
Yeah,
ahead
I
of the
even
game.
found my first.
Oh, is that Biggie?
That was the very first one I ever did.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was the very first painting I ever done.
Oh
You
my
know,
God.
yeah,
That is so dope. Even as the first one.
yeah,
You
yeah.
ever think about like trying to do it over, like, or do
Oh,
another one?
actually, if I was to take a picture, that one actually, what I started to do because I knew a friend that worked for Disney, and like he helped draw Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast. Like he
Oh
had like a
wow.
long roster, and I met him because it's my brother's friend, my older brother's friend. So I came back and I showed him one of my future projects, and I was talking about old work, and I was asking him, when you do old work, should like you ever want to come back to it and
Yeah.
like kind of like spice it up more now that you have more knowledge. And he basically was telling me to like leave it alone, like
Really?
that, yeah, because he was like, if you have new ideas or you see that even like your work can be improved, use that to make your new one, like
Yeah.
make your new work. Because me, like I think one thing I told you is that like one thing about my artwork is that I never like to move like if I did the two Bugs Bunny and the Mickey Mouse, the next one's not going to look like that. It's like it's not even going to follow, and it's going to be like
Yeah.
completely different.
Yeah.
And I think I've always been like that because when I'm a New Yorker, New Yorkers, we don't like to copy
Different.
anything.
We
It's
different.
like, yeah, like anything we do, it has to be different from the last. So I try to stay constantly in the loop, but I also like to like if everyone's doing stickers now, I don't want mine to look like everybody's. I want
Yeah.
mine to be like oh man, like who
This
makes a sticker out of that? Like,
yeah.
yeah, like so even that when it comes to that clothing, like I can't say the only arrogant thing I can say is that I want it all. Like I want to do it all. Like I want you to see me do drops or like Supreme has something and I do a collab. Like that's how I wanted to see myself going. I'm even
Oh,
doing vinyls. I'm even doing like the vinyl designer urban vinyls like
yeah.
pops and toys. I'm going to like I want to touch it all because it helped me. So it's almost
Yeah.
like because it helped me, I'm always been like a person that likes to share and help
Yeah.
anyone. So it's like I want to give that to everyone too. Like these are the things that got me by when even though it's almost I like to say it's like being alone with people, so it's like people are around you, but it's like you feel no one can understand your language or they can't
Yeah.
see what, so you almost feel like you're alone, but it's like you're not really alone. So it's like
Yeah.
best way to express it out, I feel, is for me has always been like my artwork,
Yeah.
because there have been times that I've taken hiatus like long
I know. I
years,
know. Cause I
years,
be hitting
yes,
you up like, yo,
yeah,
you be like,
yeah,
um,
yeah. Because what happened, like from the last time I saw you, I'm not lying to you. The last time I came by and I saw you and you did that show in Jamaica
Jamaica.
was like one of my last two.
Oh
I
my
think,
God.
yes,
That
I
was like
kid you
4
not.
years
After that,
ago.
yeah, after that, it was like, yeah, it was about 2, 3 years ago. And I
Listen,
just,
guys, I've been doing this for a long time. All right. There's the proof right
yeah,
there. Okay. That
yeah,
was like
yeah.
3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, and I just basically just it's funny. It wasn't like I didn't paint. It was just more I painted for myself, you
Yeah.
know.
And that's
And
okay too. Sometimes
yeah,
you gotta
mhm,
create. That's when you start creating for yourself most of the time, right? Because it's
mhm,
therapeutic. It helps you stay focused.
mhm.
It helps you get through, being a single parent. It helps you get
Yeah,
through coming out of the military during like one of
yeah,
the craziest, modern wars that we went through.
mhm,
So you start to create to heal yourself,
yeah,
and then you get popping and you start to create for your audience, and you kind of
mhm.
lose a little bit of that, why am I even doing this in the first place, and sometimes you need to pull back and like create for yourself. So I commend you for that. Just
Yeah, 'cause
I'll just tell people don't do it for too long, because I'm gonna keep
yeah,
harassing you till you come out.
and I tell people that too. Like nowadays I see like on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, a lot of people want to do this thing where it's like, I'm trying to like get to know myself, so I'm kind of like going towards myself. And I kind of tell people it's a good thing to do, but don't do it as a fad. Don't do it because that's what everyone's doing now to prove how
Mhm.
woke you are.
Yeah, how
And
healing,
yes,
self-healing.
I'm like, for one, it's not, I never look at the sense of it being you're woke. It's more of you're being aware of things now. It's like you're more, the third eye, people will say it too much in the sense where they think it's like it's a saying where it's like third eye just means that, you're looking with two, kind of makes it like you're going to miss something. But
Yeah,
that the
the third
third
one is
one
like
kind of makes it,
understanding.
now I'm looking at everything. You
Yeah.
know, one thing my grandmother always said was never never ask and pray for like money, power, people. Always pray for wisdom because being wise about things is why I don't have any gray hairs. I
Ah!
look at everything. I'm the
Wait,
type of
wait.
person.
You see mine? Like
Let me tell you, I have a few, and my kids will sometimes come and pluck them out like it's a defect. Like, hey, why the hell you have one of these? Yuck! And then I wake up and I feel the wisdom has left me. Like, did I forget something today? Like, man, these kids are pulling my wisdom out of my head. Like,
I
yeah.
love it.
So what I learned was just that it's better to express. You know, it's good to express to yourself, but it's also good to always make sure you're sharing or don't stay within yourself too long because if you get too used to it, you kind of like, I've had one of my grand aunts from my Jamaican side stayed to herself all her life.
Yeah.
And she was miserable all the time. So
Miserable. Yes.
yeah, like always me. Like, so it's like, you going to your Aunt Chichi? I'm like,
Ah!
she makes it. She makes the hamburgers. She makes the hamburgers with just regular bread. Like so
No!
miserable.
Ketchup
She
soaks
puts
in the
yeah.
bread plate. Oh
I
my
don't want
God.
ketchup. Please no ketchup.
No.
It's like can I just get McDonald's? I make better hamburgers than McDonald's.
McDonald's
McDo-
money.
yeah, it's like McDonald's doesn't put chopped peppers in the beef, but okay.
Listen, I love me a good house burger, but not on regular bread. Like that's
Yeah. Oh
buns.
my goodness. Yeah. So
Well,
I've always positive vibe is what I always tell people. Like, it's not, don't try to prove to everyone how wise or how spiritual you are. Cause I hate when people say they stick to the spiritual because it is good to be, I always say I'm open to everything.
yeah,
As long as you're going in a positive direction, I don't care how you're going up. If I'm going up by a ladder, you're using the rope, he uses the stairs, as long as it's going to a positive thing, we shouldn't judge more how you're doing it, just that you're doing it.
yeah.
So
I hear that.
that's
That's
yeah,
okay.
yes, yes.
Well,
Believe
you
me,
over here dropping gems,
I
and
know.
we gonna be end up talking all night with all these gems. But we're gonna wrap up. But before we wrap up,
Okay.
give us one more gem. Well, wait, can you? What's that behind you? What piece is that? That's the no. You had another piece.
Which
You had another piece.
oh,
Show us some.
I
Show
have
us another
quite.
piece. Another
I have.
another.
Okay, I'll give you one more. It's a big one. I'll pull that one up. I think you even seen this one before.
Is that the girl?
Yes, the runner. The
Yes,
runner.
I love that piece.
This one is this one is a nostalgic one because it's basically the
Oh,
cloth. I got it from my father's country when he went to Ghana. Let me find
so
is
that's
my
all fabric from
yes,
Ghana.
kente cloth. It's technically kente cloth.
Oh my
So this is
gosh.
all her hair is truly made out of the real material.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's gorgeous.
This one took me a while to make, and with kids, feely all the time.
Of
Because
course,
at first I was
every
going to resin it. I was going to resin it, but something told me to
no.
keep it like out because you can see the fabric and it sticks out, and
Yeah, you want to see
yeah,
like the layers of
yeah. And
fabric.
it's called a cultural run. um if you can see it more, like it
Oh my
gets like the
gosh.
paint is like ripping off of her,
Yeah,
and like at
yeah.
the very front
She's
of it,
zooming. She's
like
looks
yeah,
like she's zooming through.
yeah, because the
Oh my
inspiration
goodness.
to this one was Thundercats,
Yes, I was gonna
Chitara.
say
Yeah, Chitara's run.
that's
And
my girl.
yeah, and basically at the very front of her, it's like her hand is like kind of like whitish. So it's like basically the way, like women are not, it's kind of like with how women are trying to look like one instead of be themselves. So
Yes.
it's like you're running, and it's like you're running and the culture is like ripping off of you. Like
Oh,
so it's not really of being black or being white, and it's just whatever has made you who you are, you should stay in it. But the way people are now, they trying to look so much like someone else that they start forgetting. So it starts to peel off and they don't even realize it. So
oh
they're
my
moving
gosh.
so quick, they don't realize that they're running from, what made them who they are in the first place.
Yes. Oh
That'll
my
be
gosh.
5.99 for that advice now, man.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, before we wrap up, please give us one more gem. one more, something for the audience to walk away with, a final thought. Please, please, please.
Okay. So one thing I'll say is follow me at Instagram. I have, of course, the at Broken Saint 1978, but I have another one, new big, at is Broken Saint underscore new big NUBIG, which there's a meaning to that. I'll get to that. I have a show coming up. Let me let my notes.
Yes, when do I know?
With I'm doing some things right now with Culture Candy. You can look them up. It's spelled exactly as it's written on Instagram. The show, I think it's on the page. If I look, it's gonna take me a while, but it's just like I have so many, like, cause
When is
this
the
year I
show?
kind of
When is the
decided
show?
it's coming. I'll say it's coming. It's not. I think it's around the end of this month, or it is mid next month. But
Okay.
I'll basically, if you check my page, I'm gonna post it. I have it for people. It'll be on my Broken Saint. It'll be a link on
Yes.
that one. If you want to hit me up for like anything personal, like personal like artwork or something like that, my
Yes.
email is Broken Saint, but it's BRNK Saint 1978 at Gmail. And yeah, I can do almost anything. I take that back. I can do anything. It's just, you know, give always like I always tell people, it's like getting a tattoo. Give the artist a little bit of artistic freedom.
Yes.
Because it's like draw me Tweety Bird, just like Tweety Bird and nothing else. I don't want it kind of, even though it's the person who did it, yeah, it is whack. I'm just trying to. It's always the worst when I think of when I heard someone ask me to do that. Someone asked me to do that years ago. So it's just like, always look towards the artist to give them the freedom, to give them a piece of themselves, so
Yeah.
that in the future, kind of like my segue into what I said earlier is the new big thing is kind of like it's like a algorithm in my head that's like know us before I'm gone, which is
Mm,
basically how I look at people like Basquiat and all these other people. How it's when they passed where everyone like paid attention, like, oh, Biggie is
yes.
now one of the greatest, or Bob Marley is now fantastic, or know us now, before I'm gone. So it's like know me and respect me and build me up to where I can be the best version of myself today. Don't wait until I'm big to say you know me.
Yeah.
And
We're
I
gone.
say,
And then
yeah, and it not only means in death, it also means, and I'll say this is probably the arrogant part of it, it's like, let's say you know me now and my painting is like 200.
mm,
So then when I'm like doing pictures with cars and you're like, hey, I know him. Can I get a painting for that 200? No, now it's 20. It's like, oh, that's crazy. I knew you down the street. And no, it's
ah,
like
you should have
you
bought that
did it.
$200 painting.
Yeah. Exactly. So it's like know me, support me when I'm hungry. Don't
Yeah.
wait until I'm someone important and now you think I'm great. No, I was great then too. It's just you didn't want me because I had to be a bigger name to
I
you,
wasn't
you
big
the
enough to
person.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, and everyone always talks about supporting each other, but they really don't. So it's
No.
like you have to do it now because I'm
Yeah.
telling you, when I'm there, I'm not gonna treat you differently, but don't try to look towards my older self. Know
Yes.
me now. Like, know us. That's why I said the us thing, because I never looked at it as like, know me before I'm going. No, know all of us. You
Yeah.
know, poetry, movie, acting, singing. I always feel like it's a great thing to like respect the artist because technically to me, all of it's art. If
Yeah.
you can produce music, I've tried it. Two
Yeah.
minutes in, I was
I was,
dozing off. My head was
yeah.
hitting the
I'm like, wait
keyboard.
a minute.
And
This
I've had
was
friends literally make songs in front of me. Like,
nah.
you're amazing. Like, like, you're so amazing. Like, because I can't do it. And
Yeah.
that's what I noticed.
I always say that, and I respect artists so much,
Hmm.
especially like visual artists like you, because I can't do what you do, right? So if I
Hmm.
commission for a painting or I want to buy a painting off of you, and you tell me that painting's $400, I might be like, listen, can we do a payment plan? I want it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
definitely want it.
And
I
I
will
believe in that.
never, I will never tell an artist and say, well, can I give you 200 for it? You know, like I
Yeah.
would never disrespect you like that, because at the
Yeah.
end of the day, like I respect how you value your work. And
Mm-hmm.
who the hell am I to say that it's worth less than what you say it's worth? You know,
Trust
that's
me.
not my place. And I respect people. And when people quote me, if it's completely out of my budget, then I'll be like, I can't afford it, but I love it. And when I can, I'll be back. You know,
Yeah, and I think even what you said, I believe in that too. Like I believe in the sense that me myself, I've seen work from other artists because I never looked at myself as an artist that didn't want other artists' work. Like I look at some people's work and be like, I want your work so badly, and it's like, and like I've had a friend of mine who did the payment plan thing, and I dragged my feet, but I still have I always kept his work, and I
that's
always looked at that's how it'll even be good for us in the sense to get our art out there. You
yeah,
know, so I never looked at it like if I told a person like one painting is $1,000 and they're just like, oh well, I always make them know that hey, you can do a payment plan in the sense that once you've hit like at least like half or even like a quarter of like a little more than a quarter of it, I'll like consider like sending it to you, and then it's the honor system,
yeah,
which a lot of times you just have to judge. Yeah,
yeah.
you
I
can
mean,
eye it. You
you
can eye it at some point. You
yeah,
know,
if you know who you are dealing with, you know, if it's somebody
yeah,
that you don't know like that, then nah, you got to be patient.
nah,
If it's
nah.
somebody you
Whole
know,
thing up front, bruh.
yeah, I mean, I need some of your work in my house, because
Yeah.
I'm a big, like I'm always buying art. Like
Mm-hmm.
I used to go to events and come home with a new piece all the time, and my family be like, "You think this is an art gallery?" And I'm like, "But I
Yeah.
can't paint this. I couldn't do that. I had to
So,
buy it."
well, and I'm trying now to start. I'm going to try and start doing venture out to something more different in the sense of doing prints. So I am going to go into the print world because
Yes,
you know
yes,
me. I told
yes.
you I never made prints because I like the whole one of a
Canvas.
kind.
I
But
like the one of a
I
kind too.
I decided that there are some of my pieces that I'll make like a small amount for people because I get it when it comes to money, especially now,
Yes,
and
it's
if you're looking at something
out
that
there.
brings you up, then hey, I'll make multiple ones because if it's doing it for you, I know it can do it for someone else. So I'm doing prints. I'm doing other things like I do. I just did. I think I can reach and show you before we go. I did this one. I haven't. Oh no! Don't fall. I did this one for my blue label. Like
Oh
I'm
shit.
doing like yeah. I did the whole box of a
That's
small version of Johnny, and I just did my little, my little.
oh my god.
Remember him from Shirt
Yes.
Tails?
Yes.
Shirt Tails and Morocco Mole. I kind of put them together as one character.
Yo,
You
you're so
know,
crazy. I love
yes. So it's like stuff like that. Like I'm trying to venture into everyone because I want you to see me like on a Hennessy bottle as
yeah.
a one of a kind design and stuff like that. It's just stuff like that. I do everything. Um,
You have the ability to be seen everywhere. You
yes,
deserve it. And when we talked about you being on the show, I didn't even hesitate because normally I would have been like, "Oh, this is just for poets, man. Stay in your lane."
but
But
it's funny. I came running to you like I want to be on your show.
but I was like, "Nah, we could definitely do this," because your art is literally like poetry to me.
Yeah,
So I appreciate you coming out and talking to me, guys. Make
of
sure that you
course.
follow Broken Saint 1978. That's his IG right here. He's got a
Hey,
few other IGs. Follow that. I'm sure the other page is tagged and follow,
yes,
follow,
it.
follow, support, hit him
Yes,
up, have him paint your shoes, have him paint your house, like
anything.
whatever. Just
Believe me, one
get this
day
girl
you'll look back and you'll be like, you'll see how much I cost then, and you'll be like, man, I got his stuff
early.
for the Costco prices. Like I got,
Facts.
like, look how huge this thing is, So,
I
like I
love
said,
it.
know us now, know us artists now,
Before I'm gone.
Gone, yes, because I even when I met you, I was like, man, I cannot do that poetry talking in front of everybody. Oh my goodness. I'm
I
like, you guys have such a gift to
oh
speak
no,
with, technically to speak what's on your mind, like
you do it
verbal art.
with a paintbrush. It's the same
Yeah.
thing, you know. It's
It's
just
more secretive though. Yours,
I know,
yours
I
is like right in everyone's face, and I always admired that. That's why whenever I go, like I loved, like what was always drawn to me by like yours and a lot of other people's is, a lot of times when people feel like I call it like a more of like a raw type of poetry. A lot of times people think it's mostly towards like sex and just just that version is what you should focus more towards, but I'm like, no, I think a lot of times even when they're even using sex, it's more of a sense of it's trying to express how raw it is. it's not
Mhm.
it's not coming from a place where I'm thinking a lot before it comes out because I want to make sure everyone's like, I don't want no one. No, it's like it's literally like like it's coming out, like I'm pouring it out. So
Yeah,
however the rawer it is, the better, because by you paying attention to it, it's like there's no filtering into this. So it's like it's
yeah,
coming deep from inside me. So that's why I always watch it. And I'm like, for the sense that it's like for an artist, we put it on a canvas and we walk away. So you can go look at it and I'll be in the corner like this. Anyone admiring it?
don't even people won't even know you're the one that painted
Yeah,
it.
yeah. A lot of times it's true too, because I'll be looking with them while they're talking about it, and I'm like, "Yup, that thing's
Yeah,
crazy, right?"
I
No,
love the colors.
yeah, it's like, and then even when like artists are looking at it, like, "Man, this thing's amazing," and I'm like, "Yeah, I know." And then I'm looking at, and then I ask them like, "Hey, what did you do?" And they tell me. That's usually when I'm like, "Hey, I did this one, but I think yours is awesome." And the instant I tell them that I think theirs is better, they're like, "No, mine is nothing." And I'm like, "No, no, 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 no." I
Aw,
like, and I've always been like
humble,
that
humble
because you know it's
artist.
funny
I love
because
it.
I don't tell people this a lot, but I believe that I used to go to these shows, even yours, from any aspect of art. I feed from you guys, so it's
Yeah,
like I'm looking at something I've never tried before. I'm looking at how someone did something. It feeds me to say I'm not going to copy his, but now I figure I'm learning. I
yeah,
said
you're
there's no such
inspired.
thing. Yes, there's no such thing as I know it all in the art world. No, I learn
Yeah,
every day. Like I'm about to go to like Pinterest right now and learn just from just talking to you. Just like, oh man, I gotta look at something new. Yeah,
I love it. I love
yeah,
it. Well, Broken Saint 1978, thank you so much for jumping
all
on with
day.
Say Poet, sharing your art, sharing your life story. I really,
Yeah,
really love and appreciate it. Guys, make sure that you follow this amazing artist. And of course, follow us on the gram.
yes,
I'm your host, JRose. You can follow me at My Crumbled Thoughts. But of course, you can follow us on Facebook or YouTube at the Rose Garden
hmm
Events. Make sure you subscribe, turn on those notifications. You know, whatever it is those
yeah,
YouTubers be saying, do it. Do it for me
yes.
too.
Hit the likes. Yeah, hit the likes.
Hit the
Any like
like,
is appreciated.
comment. If you like this, please comment. You know, guys, you know the drill. All right.
Yes,
But
yes,
yes, and like I always say, guys, keep growing. Peace
yes.
out. Don't leave Broken State. We're gonna talk backstage. But
Got
thank
it.
you so much, everybody, for tuning in. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful night. Bye.
Later.